Okay, leadership. I'm going to talk again about leadership because that was actually the topic, one of the things we learned about today was leadership. There's management and then there's leadership, and there's a difference, and I didn't know that. Management is, the day-to-day tasks, filling out the paperwork, making sure the deadlines are met, that kind of thing. And then leadership is when you manage conflict, when you do evaluations, when you provide a vision for the department, strategies and that kind of thing. So my question earlier in a previous video was, are you a leader or are you a follower? Well, I'd like to add an addendum onto that. What kind of leader, if you do lead, what kind of leader are you? Are you the kind of leader that says, do it my way and only my way, and I'm going to check on you every minute to make sure you're doing it my way? Or are you the type of leader who gives somebody a project that says, okay, this is your project, you manage it, you're in charge of it, do it, and you don't micromanage them? Or are you the type of leader who provides encouragement and assistance when needed? I think I would be that third type, the kind who provides encouragement and assistance as needed, but not necessarily. I'm definitely not that micromanaged type. I see my role as a facilitator. If my teachers need something to be better teachers, then that's what I go for. I think it's a collaborative process. I have to ask them what they need from me, and then they have to know what I need from them. You work together like a family, and somebody's got to coordinate this stuff, and that's me. See, I'm learning stuff now. I never was a department head before with underlings. All I've ever been is a teacher. I did run an entire country's education system for a short period of time when I was in Fiji. The senior education officer in charge of secondary English quit. He got a job as a principal at a local high school, which left nobody in the job. I was the deputy senior education officer in charge of English curriculum, and making sure that the schools are ready to take the national exam. And next thing you know, the guy quits, and now I'm the acting senior education officer. 26 years old, and I'm in charge of 17,000 students across an entire country. But oddly enough, I didn't have underlings. I mean, every principal in the country was technically under me, but I didn't directly manage them. I made policy, and then schools had to carry out the policy. And then I would go and inspect the schools to make sure they carried out the policy. Like research papers. They had to do MLA format for research papers. Had to be double-spaced, had to be, if it's going to be handwritten, it's got to be double-spaced, typed double-spaced, preferably typed, which a lot of schools then started doing because of me. And then it had to be stapled in a certain place. It had to have student name, teacher name, class name, date in a certain place. The date had to be a certain way. All that stuff. It's all in the rule book of MLA for writing of English and history papers, humanities papers generally. And that is one change I made that stayed. In Fiji now, that's what they do. Before, they used to just take a bunch of shopping bag paper, make that a cover. They'd put yarn. They would put yarn on their projects. They would glue yarn to it, glue macaroni to it, cut out pictures of Hindu goddesses, glue that to it. One kid wrote a paper on marijuana, and in the center of his paper, he stapled a bag of marijuana. As I told students that everything they say has to be supported by evidence, Well, he brought evidence. He had no idea that it was illegal. Imagine that. I thought he was trying to bribe me at first. I thought he was trying to bribe me. Like, dude, I don't smoke weed. What do you mean? You know? And then they would just copy right out of an encyclopedia. They didn't actually do any thinking or writing of their own. They would just go to the encyclopedia and copy the entire chapter verbatim and pass that in as their research paper. That's what they do around the world, you know. The student is not considered anything but an empty vessel to be filled, and the teachers don't want to know what the students think, or even if they can think. All they want to have the students do is memorize and spit things back at them. That's pretty much it. I deal with that problem all the time with my international students. They don't know how to analyze, they don't know how to synthesize, they don't know how to think critically, evaluatively, exegetically. All they know how to do is basically just copy a bunch of quotations onto the paper without context, without reason, without analysis, and just pass it in. Here's my research paper. And they actually think that's good quality research. I told them that the reason that they write a research paper is to prove to the teacher that they know how to think about the subject matter. And not only that they can think about it, but they can effectively summarize it, synthesize their own views, support their own views with evidence. And that takes a lot of higher thinking skills. And then of course you have to do it in a way that conforms to the rules of the production. So spelling rules, punctuation rules, grammar rules. It's an incredibly challenging process to write a good research paper. And these people are doing it in a second language, English. They don't speak English as a native language. It amazes me that they're able to do it at all. It really amazes me. But they manage. Most of them manage, and they do better than the Americans who go through pre-curriculum. They actually do better, if you can believe that. I think they're more motivated, and plus they have explicit rules that they're taught about grammar and practice, specific grammar practice, whereas Americans very oftentimes don't. They use texting language in their papers. That kind of thing. Or run-on sentences. That's huge with native speakers. Run-on sentences. They don't know what a clause is. They don't know what a phrase is. You tell them, you know, put a comma after an introductory adjective phrase or an introductory adverbial phrase or introductory prepositional phrase, and they have no idea what any of that is, even though they went to American schools. And I'm a product of American schools too. I didn't know what they were until I started teaching it. Because, I mean, I studied it, but I didn't learn it. It didn't have any meaning to me. I have learned something about knowing things. I used to think that people had secret knowledge. There was an inside and an outside, and I was always on the outside. And I'd see people doing things and like, wow, that's amazing, I'll never be able to do that. Now I realize it's not a secret. It's just when you do something for years and years and years, your body gets so used to it, your brain is so used to it, you could do it in your sleep. And so you only look amazing to other people who don't know how to do what you can do because they haven't had those years of doing it. And I always have to remind myself of that when I'm teaching, because what might seem elementary and easy for me is a completely foreign idea to them. It's not easy. They're like, oh, that's obviously a prepositional phrase. So they don't know what that is. It's like Phil Connors said in Groundhog Day, maybe God isn't omnipotent. Maybe God has just been around so long he knows everything. It's the same thing with anybody who knows stuff. Maybe the reason they know it is because they've been doing it forever. Like a guy who can juggle chainsaws. You think to yourself, how could anyone ever learn that? Well, you practice and you practice and you practice. You do it long enough, you do it in your sleep. That's all I'm saying. Now, there are some things that I'll never be able to do. And that's where natural ability comes into it. I'll never be able to dunk a basketball. I'll never be able to hit a home run in a Major League Baseball park. I'll never be able to solve complex quadratic equations. That's just not the way it goes. I'm not a math guy. I just don't have that talent. I'll never be able to sing like Steve Perry. I might be able to hit the same notes, or I used to could, but I'll never sound as good. I think I'm done yapping at you. I'll do some shout outs and then I'm out. So hey, NC Stoney, end of March, if you want to do a ride, the 21st to the 25th I have off, so maybe we could try to figure something out. That goes to Sam Smith too. You might be able to come up to kind of around where Stoney is. I could go out west, you can go up north, and we'll meet. Somebody else said that too. I can't remember who it was, but they're also invited. Anybody who wants to ride with us or me in March, in this month, at the end of this month, and let me know. If I can, I will. And a special thank you to my friend Orvis, who provided my wonderful little doggies with some Kong squeaky toys, squeaky animals, which the Scotties promptly destroyed in 30 seconds or less. Anyway, this is Mike Haley 7. Hoping you're well. Take care, and I'll talk to you later.